What is up, Z Fighters? It's Manga Adventures, and I just want to say thanks for the overwhelming amount of love for part 1. I hope you enjoy part 2 just the same, and I'm sorry for keeping you waiting. If you want my next video to be part 3, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe so I know that's what you want. And while you're waiting, come to my Discord server. I promise it's extremely active. Link in the description. There you can chat with me and a plethora of other Dragon Ball fans. But enough self-promotion, let's jump right in. Same as last time, I understand people won't agree with some of my power scaling, but I'll do my best to explain during the video if it's really important, but most of my explanations will wait to the end as to not break up the flow of the story. The Saiyans are on their way to Earth, and the Z Fighters have a year to prepare, but Piccolo has brought up the idea of increasing the level of gravity in the chamber to 100 times. Goku is excited and they immediately tell Bulma to get on the job, and this small adjustment takes no time. Once it's ready, it won't just be Goku and Piccolo training. All the Z Fighters tag along as well. Of course, they aren't going to start at 100 times. It's a slow progression. 20 times is the first step, which is easy for everyone to get used to. Nobody's even struggling. So the very next day, Goku thought it would be a good idea to skip ahead to 50 times gravity. He and Piccolo are caught off guard, but they get used to the increased level in no time. But the same can't be said for the others who could barely move. Goku notices this and goes to turn things down a bit, but then Tien screams, "No, I refuse to fall behind forever. Keep it at 50 times. The Triclops pushes himself to throw the slowest of punches and kicks. But progress is progress. And when the usual 8-hour training day is over, and everyone but Piccolo, who lives in the gravity room, leaves to give their bodies time to rest, Tien willingly stays behind an extra 8 hours, much to the dismay of Chaozu, because unlike the others who accepted the difference in power, Krillin, who casually trained, and Yamcha, who focused on his baseball career during the times of peace, Tien trained twice as hard to close the gap between him and his former rival. He was extremely close until Piccolo started training with Goku, and then it seemed impossible for the Triclops. But even so, he never stopped training these past 2 years. This dedication pays off as he's able to move in 50 times gravity in only 60 days effortlessly, which motivates the others who are still getting used to it. So what would have taken another 60 days for them to master only takes 30, as they also start training 16 hours a day. Now, this is where I have to pause because I know a lot of people, basically everyone right now, are like, what? Goku got used to 100 times gravity in a week. Why is it taking everyone so long? And what those people don't understand is there was so many factors going into that. One is Zenkai's. Yes, he received more than a few after his battle with Vegeta. 2, ki control. I'll go into the importance of this later, but that's also crucial. Without those 2, it would have taken Goku much longer to reach 100 times. I mean, you saw how it took him 40 days to get used to 10 times gravity. But back to the story. With everyone finally ready, it's time to start with what they've set out to do. 100 times gravity. It takes another 60 days for the humans to get used to it, Goku and Vegeta doing it much sooner, but once everyone's on the same page, they train together for a month. This being important because most people don't know that Tien can also copy techniques similar to Goku by only seeing them once. So he's adding more techniques to his arsenal. Once that's done, the group uses the remainder of their time coming up with ways to face off against the Great Apes, until eventually the time has come, and a month earlier no less. 2 pods crash into Earth, but events play out much differently. Little note, the Z Fighters did learn how to suppress their keys by this point, after the fight with Raditz, as seen in canon, though it wasn't by much, only by half. So whatever power levels I spit out, just double them for the actual number. Nappa's face is in disbelief. 2 power levels of over 50,000? One with over 25,000 and 3 others over 10,000? This thing must be broken. There's no way. And that mindset is probably what got Raditz killed, you idiot. We need to play this smart. Plant the Cybermen and let's split up so we can divide and conquer. After Nappa does what he's ordered, Vegeta throws a power ball in the air, transforming him and his subordinate into Great Apes. The two then fly the opposite direction of each other. Once they leave, the Cybermen begin causing havoc in the city, killing innocents. Piccolo eyes open for meditation. I'll handle the weaker one by myself. Those small power levels could cause damage. I'll take them on, Yamcha laughs. Take Chaozu with you, while Krillin goes with Piccolo. Even if you can't handle it by yourself, we don't know what they're capable of, and I'll go with Goku. Tien orders, and with no objections, the Z-Fighters split up. Yamcha arrives on scene, stopping a Cyberman from attacking an innocent citizen. His strike so powerful it decapitates the monster. A kick to the left and a blast to the right takes out 2 more. The remaining 3 Cybermen look at each other before all charging at once. With a smile on his face, Yamcha is able to blast 2 before they reach him, but the 3rd one latches on and explodes. But once the smoke clears, he is absolutely fine, getting cheers from the remaining citizens. He then gets carried away, blasting Vegeta and Nappa's pods into dust. This causes the crowd to go wild as Chaozu rolls his eyes. Now let's switch over to a giant Piccolo who arrives in front of a Great Ape Nappa, gleefully destroying a city, taking out military planes, tall buildings, and the such. You're not Kakarot. Don't get in the way of my fun if you don't want to die. I don't know how you're messing with the Scouters, but I'm not falling for any of your tricks, Namekian. Krillin picks up on the last word the Saiyans said, but Piccolo eggs on the Great Ape. Then why don't you prove it wrong? Nappa fires a mouth beam that Piccolo deflects with ease. This really ticks off Nappa, a vein popping on his head as he charges forward, but Piccolo quickly moves out of the way, punching him in the gut, knocking the wind out of him, followed by a swift kick to the jaw, takes him down, ending the battle almost instantly. The last thing Nappa saw was Piccolo looking down on him with a ki blast, whopping the Great Ape off the face of the earth. After we take out the other one, we'll wish everyone back killed today with the Dragon Balls. Krillin, not believing Piccolo's the one who came up with the idea, agrees. The two fly off in the direction of the final battle. Meanwhile, unlike his partner, Vegeta is standing in the middle of the desert with his arms crossed, not mindlessly killing. It's a pleasure to finally meet you, Super Saiyan, the legend that Frieza fears. A tyrant who's enslaved our people for years. But if you work under me, we can stop him and have the Saiyans regain their former glory. If he has you this scared, this Frieza guy must be strong. I'm all in, but I'm not about to be your lackey. Do you not know who I am? I'm the Prince of all Saiyans. It's your birthright to serve me. Goku scratches the back of his head. The word Saiyan has been thrown around a lot, but has nothing to do with me. My home is here on Earth. Vegeta glares at Tien with his red eyes. It would seem we should cut the ties you have to this pathetic world. Feeling the malicious intent from his ki, Tien uses a solar flare, blinding the Saiyan. Goku begins charging a Kamehameha and fires it only for Vegeta to swat it away. I think this is the perfect chance to put you in your place. As the Great Ape cracks his knuckles, his eyes suddenly widen as he jumps in the air to dodge a Destructo disc thrown by Tien. You insolent little. Before he can finish the sentence, the Destructo disc comes flying back, Tien controlling the energy using the same concept as Yamcha's Spirit Ball. Vegeta barely dodges, not expecting this, though he has no time to rest because Goku throws a Destructo disc of his own. With the 2 blades aimed for his tail, he screams enough before blitzing Tien, backhanding him into a mountain, dispersing his Destructo disc. Remember, Great Apes don't lose their speed. He then charges towards Kakarot, grabbing him and throwing him on the ground before repeatedly punching downward with no end in sight. He's finally stopped by a blast from Giant Piccolo that knocks him back. Vegeta looks and sees all the Z-Fighters assembled together, causing him to grit his teeth. If you think I'll give you insects the chance to cut off my tail, then you're wrong. Vegeta charges up a Gallic gun, frantically try to move Goku out of the way, but the beam is coming too fast as they brace for death. But when they open their eyes, they see Piccolo standing in front of them, taking the full force of the beam. Once the attack is done, he falls to the ground, reverting back to normal size, laying next to Goku. You are right. I'm not like my father, because I don't think he'd ever be friends with you, Goku. Piccolo passes away with a smile on his face. Goku tries screaming out Piccolo's name, but he just coughs up blood instead. Vegeta charges up another Gallic gun, but his eyes widen as he begins reverting back to his normal self. He scans the area to see the once unconscious Tien standing, having cut off the distracted prince's tail with the Destructo disc. Vegeta tries attacking Tien, but he blocks it with no reaction, countering with a powerful strike, causing the prince to reel back in pain, and Tien uses the opportunity to chop the back of his neck, knocking him out. He readies a ki blast but stops when he feels an overwhelming ki, turning around to see Goku having just received a Super Zenkai after eating a senzu bean given to him by Krillin. His power level now 3.5 million. Let him live. We had to find out more about Frieza. That, and he could have killed me initially, but like he said, he just wanted to put me in my place. Tien, knowing he can't convince Goku when he makes his mind up, lowers his hand. Namek, Krillin jumps in. That's what the other one called Piccolo. If there are others, maybe they could have another set of Dragon Balls. Then we should go ask Mr. Popo. If anyone knows anything, it's him. Popo explains that Kami came here on a ship with amnesia, and with that they give it to Bulma to make the ship flight ready. And this is when Vegeta wakes up. Now, the prince isn't stupid. He knows without his tail, he's no match for the Z-Fighters. So he tries his best to assist them, especially when he finds out it would take Bulma 10 days to fix Kami's old ship. In that amount of time, my attack pod can go to Namek and be halfway back to Earth. I'll allow you to use it as a show of good faith. Vegeta gives a cocky smile, but Yamcha does an awkward laugh. About that, I kinda destroyed both of your pods. Vegeta is visibly upset, but all the other Z-Fighters are giving him a side eye, waiting for any sudden movement. The prince notices, meaning all he could do is click his tongue and walk off. Now back to the original plan. With a new threat on their horizon and time on their hands, they go back to training. Since Goku at this point is significantly stronger than everyone else, he becomes a goal of strength for not only Tien, but Vegeta as well, who is allowed to train due to him knowing Frieza's power the best. I wouldn't exactly call them sparring partners. I would say Vegeta just challenges Tien whenever he feels like he's made a significant jump in power, since he has a grudge against the Triclops who embarrassed him but wasn't even a Saiyan. The first week of fighting, Tien would still be on top. I don't believe Vegeta would gain a Zenkai from their previous battle. He only took minor damage from Tien, and there were swift strikes to knock him out, not exactly near death. When the second week rolls around, it's time to head off into space, but nobody trusts Vegeta right now. He's been very aggressive, and he could betray them on their way to Namek, taking the Dragon Balls for himself. So he's stuck on Earth with Tien and Chaozu, while Goku, Krillin, Yamcha, and Bulma go to wish back Piccolo. A simple task that should only take a month, but what they weren't expecting was for after 5 weeks, Vegeta, due to his Saiyan biology, surpassing Tien in power, ever so slightly, because as seen in Super and stated by Akira, Zenkai's work in another way. Fighting a strong opponent for long periods of time increases your strength to match them. Of course, the Triclops wasn't going to sit back and be surpassed, so he goes back into the gravity chamber to continue his training. Vegeta, having picked up on this, goes in himself, the two continuing their training for another week, so 6 in total, though their training is interrupted by 5 attack pods landing on Earth. Vegeta hesitantly rushes to the site, so he does his best to hide his power level. The group is immediately met by the Z-Fighters. What are Frieza's elite forces doing here? Vegeta says in a mocking tone. We're here to eliminate the Saiyan and his friend who clocked in at over 50,000 some time ago. Where's he at? Frieza finally realizes the strength of the Saiyans, but it's too little too late. Kakarot already left to kill your leader, so if I were you, I'd switch sides right about now. Don't get a big head. It's not your actual power, but the rate at which you're growing, which Frieza is finally about to clean up what he started all those years ago. A confused Vegeta demands to know what he's talking about, and the Ginyu Force laugh at his reaction. Guess the cat's out of the bag. The one who actually destroyed your planet was Lord Frieza, not a meteor. Vegeta begins laughing before he readies himself for battle. Well then, finish what you started then. Ginyu gestures his men to attack, still thinking he's only around 20,000. But Vegeta rushes them, catching Recoome off guard with a fist through his chest, followed by a ki blast. But the others don't grieve for their lost friend as Jess and Berter attack from both sides. But Vegeta blocks all their blows with ease before shooting out a powerful ki blast in both directions, wiping out the two at once. But all this does is give Goldo the opportunity to freeze him with his power. Though the green alien wasn't expecting Tien to attack from behind, decapitating him. Ginyu is now upset. His whole squad dead in a matter of seconds by the ruthless Vegeta. You know how to suppress your power. What's your actual strength? 60,000? Maybe 70? This causes Ginyu to charge up his ki to the max of 120,000, causing everyone to step back in fear. But his eyes were already set on Vegeta, who didn't even realize Ginyu had moved. A simple blink and the captain's hand was already through the prince's chest. Ginyu twists his hand, causing Vegeta to scream out in pain. As he's enjoying Vegeta's agony, his scouter picks up a massive increase in power coming from above. 150,000. He looks up to see Tien charging up his tri-beam. Ginyu is ready to escape, but he's held down by Chaozu's psychic powers, giving Vegeta the time to stagger off before firing the beam in rapid succession. With the intent to kill, this should be more than enough to finish the job. Once it was over, Chaozu gives Tien a sensu beam as he was hanging on to dear life after using the tri-beam with so much power. But now, they are wondering if they should give Vegeta a sensu beam. We saw how strong Goku got. I don't think this is a good idea, Tien. Chaozu pleads to his partner. I know, but she began to surpass me, and I don't want things to end like this. And I'm not gonna hinder my rival's progress for my own satisfaction. Tien risks it all and gives Vegeta a beam, and just like Chaozu feared, he receives a massive Zenkai, his power level now 1 million. The reason for this number is I'm using his jump from 30,000 to around 500,000. All he could do after receiving this power was laugh. He could also be the legendary Super Saiyan. With a little more training, he can see himself surpassing Kakarot. But what he didn't realize is that Goku, who had just landed on Namek, was much closer to that goal. Goku, Bulma, Krillin, and Yamcha have arrived on Namek 1 week after this event. But unfortunately, the scouter picked up Vegeta's threat of Goku coming to kill Frieza, so the Frieza Force was on the lookout for him, eventually finding their ship, but with the spacesuit in hand, Goku is easily able to get out of any situation. This, coupled with no response from the Ginyu Force, catches the attention of Frieza himself, who decides to meet him at the destination of Namek, which shouldn't be too hard, track where he's going, beat him there, since the Frieza Force ships are faster. Goku would of course be suppressing his ki, but he can't get it too low at this point, only around 200,000. I'm using the fact he was at 5,000 on Namek, but his actual power level was 90,000. I can handle this Frieza guy on my own. You guys get the Dragon Balls. Nobody questions Goku, and the two fly off with Bulma as the Saiyan awaits for the eventual arrival of the tyrant, knowing he can't lower his power level anymore. Meanwhile, Frieza's troops were scared of this massive reading, but the tyrant alongside Dodoria and Zarbon were not, knowing their leader's true power. Impressive, but not much to worry about, though it's unfortunate I have to get my hands dirty. Frieza steps out his pod. Dodoria and Zarbon handle the three running away, and with a simple nod, the group splits up. Yamcha and Krillin arrive at the location of their first Dragon Ball, Grand Elder Guru's house, but are stopped at the door by Nail. Krillin explains the situation on why they need the Dragon Balls, but Nail doesn't seem sympathetic. But before he can comment, he senses two power levels approaching them. Handle your two uninvited guests. Nail says Dodoria blitz Krillin with a smile on his face, but his expression turns to one of shock when the human is able to stop him in his tracks. Scouter must be broken, but no matter. I've been needing to get some exercise. The two start exchanging blows evenly matched. Meanwhile, Yamcha is facing against Zarbon, and the same can't be said. The alien is easily beating down the human who can't even put up a good fight. Krillin sees this and tries his best to end his battle with a well-timed dodge followed by a solar flare. He charges up a Kamehameha to erase Dodoria with one shot. He then charges at Zarbon, who's taking too much joy in torturing Yamcha, which makes it easy for Krillin to dropkick him. Because he was caught off guard, blood begins dripping from his nose, infuriating the alien who transformed into his monster state. Yamcha musters his remaining strength to get into a fighting stance as the two brace for the assault, but before Zarbon could reach them, he's stopped by Nail. Grand Elder Guru will see you now. Zarbon struggles to break free, but without even looking his direction, Nail blasts him away. Confused at what just happened but grateful for the help, they follow Nail, who formally introduces them to Guru. I sense our planet will come across great danger that only your friend can prevent. So I ask this for the sake of my people. Please save us. Guru gestures the two towards him. With Krillin on his left and Yamcha on his right, he places his hands on them, unlocking their dormant powers at the same time. Yamcha's power level shoots to over 100,000, while Krillin becomes over 200,000. The two are amazed at their increase in power and feel confident they can help Goku face Frieza if they work together, putting the mission to gather the Dragon Balls behind them so they can focus on defeating the tyrant. But what they didn't know is Goku was already facing off against them. At the same time Zarbon and Dodoria arrived, Frieza stood in front of an unimpressed Goku. You must be the same with a steadily rising power level. You don't seem to be one of Vegeta's lackeys, so I'll extend an offer. Work for me and I'll spare your life. Why would I work for someone weaker than me? Frieza is visibly displeased at his choice of words. Done with the conversation, he aims a death beam at Goku, only for him to swat it away. Frieza, shocked at this, goes in for a neck chop with the intent of killing, only for Goku not to even budge. Stop your evil ways, and I won't have to kill you. Goku's words set Frieza off enough for him to turn into his second form, bragging how he last clocked in at 1 million, only to be clocked by Goku being sent clear through a mountain. Last chance. Goku holds up a ki blast, and pushed to the limit, Frieza just jumps directly to his final form. This is the reason I despise all you Saiyans, acting all high and mighty just because you gain a little power. Frieza grabs Goku's hair and begins rapidly slamming his head into the ground. Goku flares up his ki to break free and tries to go on the assault, but he's unable to land a single hit on Frieza, who easily dodges everything. I just want you to know, I'm only using 5% of my power. Do you realize how outmatched you were? I want you to die knowing this, monkey. Frieza swats Goku away with his tail and launches a purple ki blast behind him. And while all seems lost, but he's saved by Krillin in the nick of time. Frieza is disgusted by the interruption of Krillin, but his attitude is worse when Yamcha arrives with the solar flare, blinding the tyrant, causing him to fire frantically around. We'll distract him while you charge up a super Kamehameha and blow him away. Goku gives Krillin a nod as he begins charging his attack. Krillin and Yamcha realize they can't just fight Frieza, so they use the fact he can't sense energy to their advantage. While he's blinded, Yamcha fires ki blast at Namek, gathering up dust, while Krillin charges a Destructo Disc. So when Frieza gains his bearings from the solar flare, he only narrowly dodges Krillin's attack and flies out of the dust, only to be met by Goku's super Kamehameha. The smoke clears and Frieza is nowhere in sight. The group lets out a sigh of relief, thinking the battle is over. Goku gives a weak smile as Yamcha gives a thumbs up, but the happy moment is cut short when Yamcha is shot through the chest by a death beam. Out of the water, Frieza appears, absolutely pissed. Krillin hurries to try to give Yamcha a sensu bean, but is caught by Frieza's psychic powers, dropping the bag and exploding soon after, without a scrap left. Frieza points his finger at Goku, whose anger has reached his peak. Having seen his best friend die and the other clutching for life, his hair turns blonde and his power multiplies many times over. Frieza is in awe at this change of appearance, but Goku doesn't hesitate to backhand him into the ocean, allowing him the time to give Yamcha a sensu bean. Get out of here, I'll handle this. Yamcha doesn't question it and flies off at full speed. When Frieza bursts out the water, Goku is there in his face with a warning. If you have any more transformations, now is your chance. I don't want to kill you at anything less than your full power. You're still talking like you're better than me, you dirty monkey. You'll regret letting me get to 100%. The tyrant's muscles expand, making him much bulkier than usual. Frieza would overconfidently attack Goku, but unlike canon, this version is much stronger. He's able to swiftly dodge each blow and counter accordingly. Although Frieza's endurance is nothing to scoff at, and he's able to take a lot of attacks, but even he realizes he's outmatched. Though mid-fight, Goku drops out of Super Saiyan and touches down on Namek. There's no point in continuing this. Train and come back to face me again one day. Don't you think you or this worthless planet will survive? Frieza charges up a death ball and aims it directly at Goku. You fool. Goku turns back into Super Saiyan, firing a blast so powerful that it easily pushes the death ball back onto Frieza, engulfing him in his own attack. Disappointed he had no choice but to kill his strongest opponent, Goku flies off in search of Yamcha, finding him at Elder Guru's, who's grateful for the help he did, not just for his planet, but for the entire universe, and allows him to use their Dragon Balls with Nail as their translator. This task doesn't take long, and Porunga is summoned. The first wish is to, of course, bring back Krillin, but when they're about to use their second wish, they're interrupted by a voice in their heads. Piccolo? Goku looks around in shock. Where are you? At King Kai's place. Long story short, Kami put in a good word for me to train here, which is where you should use the third wish to take yourself. Here, you can learn the concept of ki control, which will increase your power many times over. I know from experience. Of course, Goku is eager to go, especially if Piccolo has already done this training. So, they use their second wish to bring back Piccolo, and their third wish to take Goku to King Kai's planet. And this is where I'll end part 2 for now. Again, if you enjoyed this, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to let me know you guys want a part 3, and I'll try to get it out as fast as possible. This is technically where the video ends, and the rest is me explaining my reasoning for some power scaling and for some decisions. First is something I know people won't agree with. Why didn't Frieza blow up Namek like he did in canon? And the reason for this is Goku never saw Frieza in any other form except his final one. So once he turned Super Saiyan, he was about to kill Frieza thinking that was the limits to his power. But in this what if, he is seeing Frieza go from his first form to his second form to his final form. So he knows Frieza could tap into more power, which is what he wanted him to do. And because of that, Namek was spared in the process. But I feel like that's the only thing I know people won't agree with. Maybe the Ginyu Force dying so easily, but Captain Ginyu thought Goku was at 60,000, so he wasn't surprised his subordinates died. So I feel like around that power level is all that's needed to beat the Ginyu Force. Now let's get into the power scaling, which I know is the biggest thing, and why everyone seems so weak. Even though they train in 100 times gravity, they should all be around 90,000 like Goku, which isn't the case. The reason Goku got so strong is because the Zenkais he made on the trip to Namek. He got one after being badly bruised by Vegeta, which I feel like everyone can agree on. But then he got 3 more on his trip to Namek. If you check out, I believe, chapter 272, the narrator himself states after Goku eats the Senzu Bean after firing the Kamehameha at himself, he has figured out the Saiyan properties of getting stronger in intense condition. And that's blatantly saying he's figured out what a Zenkai is. And I feel like each time he scarfed down his Senzu Bean, that's a Zenkai. He started with 7, ended up with 3. That's 4 Zenkais. So that's how he got so strong in such a short amount of time. Zenkais during the Namek saga were crucial. That was the whole point of the Namek saga. Next reason he got so strong is because of ki control. The main point I want to bring up here is Goku was at 90,000, but when Ginyu someone who switched bodies more than once goes into Goku's body, it's only at 23,000. Come on. The reason is because of a lack of ki control. Even Goku says that. He says, Krillin, Gohan, you can beat him. He can't use my ki properly. He can't use Kamehameha. He can't use Kaioken. He can't use anything, right? And you would think someone whose main gimmick is to switch bodies wouldn't be surprised that his power level is only 23,000. So that's second point. Those are the two main reasons why Goku got so strong, so fast on his trip to Namek. But if you disagree, you can either A, join my Discord, link in the description, we can debate there, or B, you can debate in the comments and give your reasoning. I see a lot of people using the 10 times gravity makes you 10 times stronger argument, and then I'm just like, well, then he would be at like 41,000. Since he started Z at 416, he would be at 41,000. But obviously Ginyu was only at 23,000, so that's not the case. But I'm very open-minded, willing to learn something new. Thanks for watching the video, and a special thanks to everyone who listened to me rant about debates. Hope you all have a good one. Can't wait to see y'all in part 3.